From women afraid to claim power or show their strength, to men terrified of crying or showing love, people suppress desire, anger, and strength just to fit a role society carved for them centuries ago. Every unspoken rule, every invisible expectation, every shameful thought are rules that live inside your mind and in the world around you. And these taboos control your life until you break them. Gender taboos focus on what people expect from men and women, and those expectations do not come from biology alone. Cultures make them, repeat them, and lock them into daily life so that the whole society follows, without always thinking about why it follows. There are some common feminine taboos. Ambition and power form a taboo for many women because long histories of property rights, inheritance laws, and workplace structures gave men public authority and then wrapped that authority in moral language so that people learned to expect leadership from men and domestic care from women. And this history created social rewards for men who sought power and social penalties for women who did the same. Psychologically, this taboo survives because cultures teach women to doubt their right to take space and to lead. And Jungian ideas point out that women who reject that doubt can feel inner conflict because their cultural image of woman does not include public strength. Schools enforce it by calling assertive girls bossy, or by steering girls away from leadership roles. And workplaces keep it alive when promotion systems reward stereotypically masculine styles and ignore cooperative strengths. Those social patterns create a steady stream of small discouragements that make many capable women step back from leadership or hide their ambition. And that hiding then looks normal to the next generation, so the cycle repeats. Sexual desire and open sexual expression become tabooed for women because many religious and legal systems historically controlled women's bodies to secure male lineage, guarantee heirs, and reduce social conflict over inheritance. And those controls turned sexual freedom for women into a moral danger while rewarding male sexual freedom. The taboo appears today in double standards, where the same sexual behavior brings praise for men and condemnation for women, and social enforcement takes subtle forms such as gossip, slut-shaming on social media, unequal sexual health policies, and educational messages that focus more on controlling girls' behavior than on teaching consent and pleasure for everyone. Anger and direct aggression become tabooed for women because older social orders assigned men the public role of defenders and enforcers, while assigning women the private role of peacemaker and caregiver. And this role division framed anger in women as a social threat rather than a rightful claim. Psychologically, this taboo pushes women into suppressing legitimate anger, which creates internal pressure that often shows up as anxiety, passive aggression, or sudden bursts of rage. The taboo persists through labels that trivialize women's feelings, calling them hysterical, oversensitive, or difficult, and through workplace evaluations that penalize women for the same forceful manner that wins respect for men, which means that many women learn to mute their anger, even when that muting allows unfair treatment to continue. Independence and the choice not to be a mother stand as a taboo in many places because societies built economic and social expectations around women's labor in the home and around motherhood as a primary identity. And laws, benefits, and cultural stories often made motherhood the normal life path, while not supporting other paths in the same way. Physical strength and assertive body use become tabooed for women, because many cultural myths and labor divisions linked muscular strength with men's public work and bravery, and visual cultures then associated the female body with slenderness, passivity, and decoration rather than with force and capability. On the psychological level, this taboo limits women's sense of what their bodies can do and can heighten body shame when women show visible strength. There are also common masculine taboos. The first taboo forbids visible emotional vulnerability, and boys learn from an early age that showing sadness, fear, or grief will make other people pull back or mock them. So parents, teachers, and peers often teach silence by saying phrases like "man up" or by treating tears as a sign of weakness. And over time, those repeated lessons become automatic rules inside the mind that push feelings underground, which leads men to solve emotional pain with distraction, work, or anger, rather than with talk or rest. This pattern grew out of older cultural ideals of stoicism and honor. It tightened during periods when industrial work and military life rewarded steady, unemotional labor, and it spreads today through media images of toughness and through peer groups that police softness. The second taboo blocks asking for help or admitting dependence, and many communities praise independence so strongly that men come to believe that any need is a personal failure. So men often avoid going to doctors, avoid therapy, and refuse practical help until problems become serious, because they expect shame from others and from themselves, and that avoidance traces back to economic and social systems that gave men the role of provider, told boys that self-reliance proves worth, and rewarded public competence while punishing visible need. The third taboo keeps men away from caregiving and household work, and many cultures treat daily care for children, elders, and home life as the woman's job, which makes men who take on these tasks seem odd and sometimes unmanly. So social cues such as family expectations, workplace policies that favor continuous full-time presence, and media stories that show fathers as helpers rather than as equal caregivers push men away from building skills in empathy, routines, and emotional labor. That division started with historical labor patterns and with legal and economic structures that made men breadwinners and women homemakers. And when men avoid care, they lose chances to form close family bonds, to build emotional skills, and to enjoy the steady comforts that come from being present in family life, while families and children lose the benefits of shared care. The fourth taboo ties a man's value to success and to the provider role. And societies that organized wealth, property, and adult status around male earnings created a harsh rule that equates failure with shame. So men often hide unemployment, take dangerous risks to prove they matter, or push themselves toward harmful competition because they fear the loss of social respect and the loss of identity. And that rule came from centuries when male status depended on land, trade, and military rank, and later intensified under capitalist systems that measure worth in income and achievement. And the result is that economic shocks, job loss, or slowed careers can cause deep identity crises that show up as depression, risky behavior, and family strain. The fifth taboo forbids softness, tenderness, or gender nonconformity in men, and public life often punishes displays of gentleness, affection between men, or styles that look feminine. So boys learn to avoid touch, to hide affection for other men, and to police each other's speech and dress in ways that keep everyone safe from mockery at the cost of closeness. This rule grew from homophobia, religious codes that labeled same-sex intimacy as wrong, and social systems that defined power through dominance and heterosexual conquest, and the enforcement shows itself in violence, exclusion, and laws that historically punished non-conforming sexual expression, while the hidden effect is that many men conceal parts of themselves, build shame around normal desires, and carry a private fear of being seen as less than whole. Most taboos that shape how people act are easy to see because they live out in the open, in the way people talk, dress, or divide their daily roles. But many of the strongest and most controlling taboos live quietly inside the mind. The reason inner taboos are so powerful is that they hide beneath awareness. People usually do not stop to question them because they believe they are simply following what feels right or natural. One common hidden taboo for men is the fear of weakness. From childhood, many boys learn that needing comfort or crying will lead to mockery or rejection. That early experience teaches the body to freeze or shut down whenever sadness comes close to the surface. As a result, adult men may feel uneasy when they sense tears coming, even in private, because their body reacts as if it's breaking a social law. This rule operates silently but powerfully, and it often keeps men from asking for help, expressing love, or forming deep emotional bonds. A second inner taboo, more common among women, is the fear of dominance. Many girls are taught to value politeness, cooperation, and care, while being told that strong opinions, loud voices, or visible anger make them unpleasant or unfeminine. As adults, These same women may downplay their intelligence in meetings, avoid taking leadership roles, or apologize for speaking firmly, even when they know they are right. This self-limiting behavior rarely comes from conscious thought. It comes from an old internalized rule that whispers, if you act too strong, people will stop liking you. Another shared inner taboo, present in both men and women, is the fear of showing sexual initiative. Society often attaches shame to being too open about desire. For men, this taboo can appear as pressure to perform or dominate, rather than express tenderness or vulnerability. For women, it appears as fear of being judged or labeled. In both cases, the result is a disconnect from natural desire and a difficulty forming honest and mutual intimacy. The person may act confident on the outside, but feel anxious, distant, or guilty on the inside, because deep down, they have learned that pleasure must always come with punishment. There is also the hidden taboo of dependency. Many people grow up believing that strength means self-sufficiency and that needing others makes them fragile. This idea is not limited to men or women. It affects everyone who equates independence with worth. When people hide their need for comfort, reassurance, or care, they often become isolated. They might develop habits of overworking, overachieving, or pretending to be fine when they are not. And these habits protect them from feeling weak, but also keep them from forming relationships that could heal them. The final inner taboo that many people carry is the fear of emotional exposure. This is the rule that says, don't let anyone see what you really feel. It comes from early lessons that feelings bring trouble or rejection. People who follow this rule learn to keep a neutral face, to joke instead of speak honestly, or to change the subject when something painful comes up. The cost of this habit is high. It blocks intimacy and makes it hard to be seen and understood. Breaking free from gender taboos is one of the hardest and most rewarding things a person can do. The first and most important step in breaking gender taboos is noticing them. Many people carry them unconsciously, repeating patterns that were never chosen. A man might automatically act distant when he feels sad, because he learned that sadness makes him look weak. A woman might smile when she feels angry, because she was taught that anger makes her unkind. These reactions happen before conscious thought. That's why awareness matters. When someone starts to pause and ask, why do I react this way? Who told me this was wrong? The pattern begins to loosen its hold. Awareness turns a rule into a question, and a question always carries the seed of freedom. After awareness comes acceptance. This step can feel strange, because it doesn't mean agreeing with the taboo. It means recognizing how deeply it has shaped one's behavior. People often feel shame when they realize how much they followed a rule they don't believe in. But shame only adds another layer of silence. Acceptance means saying, yes, I was taught this, without judgment. It means understanding that these beliefs were learned for survival. Many of our parents and grandparents lived in times when breaking gender norms could lead to real danger or social rejection. They passed down their fears in the form of rules. Seeing that helps remove anger and replaces it with understanding. Only then can someone decide to build a new path without carrying old guilt. A man who reconnects with his gentleness and emotional honesty doesn't lose his strength. He becomes more complete. A woman who reclaims her ambition and power doesn't lose her kindness. She expands it. Freedom is not about erasing gender, but about integrating every human quality without shame. Every time someone chooses to act outside an old pattern, they weaken the system that depends on everyone following the same script. Small acts, like a man choosing to comfort his friend without hiding emotion, or a woman leading with authority without apologizing, are not minor gestures. They are quiet revolutions. Resistance begins in these small, everyday moments. It doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's just saying no when expected to stay quiet, or yes when expected to hesitate. Sometimes it's standing up for someone else who is judged for breaking the same rules. Cultural change often starts with one person daring to be seen as different. When others witness that courage, they begin to imagine that they too can live differently. Over time, those small acts of honesty collect into movements. Education is another key to deconstruction. When schools teach children about the history of gender roles, about how these ideas formed and evolved, it gives them tools to question what they see around them. When young boys and girls learn that sensitivity or strength are not owned by any gender, they grow up freer to choose their own ways of being. Change, then, becomes generational. Each new group of children learns to carry fewer restrictions than the last.
If this spoke to you, share it, because every human being deserves to know their difference is their power.